administrator, I'm logged in rather as the administrator, and so I have access to all of this. So right off the bat, not all the operators will have access to what we call the jobs setup. And this window shows all of our jobs. Now you can see down here, I have about, there's 21 jobs in total. I have about 8 jobs that are not published. So basically what that means is that you can see this Alaris job 1. If I go to create a new batch, you simply can't see Alaris job 1. It's not in there because it hasn't been published. So again, that's how you can take jobs offline. So as an IT administrator, I can go into this job and I can make edits to it. I can still test this job on my end, but again, you can just take it out of circulation so nobody can use it. This housing application forms, this is the job that we were working on. This is where we got the batch naming from. We defined it over here for job name, counter domain. When we create this new batch, we can set a status on it automatically. So when you go into the batch manager, I can define one of these statuses right off the bat. If I create this batch and I know it's going to need more indexing or a QC check or whatever, I can assign that right off the bat when I create the batch. You can also have different batch levels over here. You can make it a private batch if you want, so that only this particular user can see that batch, so you can lock it down that way as well. We have some options for the batch, again, where we can allow import of eDocs, emails, things like that. We can allow those page annotations that I spoke about. I can uncheck that so we don't have that ability. Another cool thing we have is with this software on 3 different levels, we're allowing the operator or the administrator really to go in and modify the script. So if you want to parse out a barcode in a specific manner, you can go in here and you can modify this code in the pre-scan area, post-scan area, and you have a lot of different granular levels that you can modify this job, just like the software developers. And that's something that we work with our customers and partners on as well. If there's a certain specific task that they need, of course we can write that into the software, but in the meantime, we can get together with our developers and we come up with a code, and we can pop in a code in here to do specific things before we make anything permanent. So that's a job level script. We also have different workflows. This particular workflow that we use for this job was to scan, index, and export. We have something in here where we have 2 different index parts or pieces to the workflow. So you'll scan, you'll index, depending upon the information, it'll go right to an export part of the process. If the information doesn't meet a requirement that's been set in the indexing, it's going to go into an additional indexing step. And then we also have one where we just have a scan and export. It just bypasses the indexing. I use this for my expense reports, quite honestly, where I scan in a bunch of receipts and I have this batch set to be named whatever I put in as a job description, and I just might put it in New York City, travel expenses, MPaternoster for the week of whatever, and there's no indexing that needs to be done, and it just makes one PDF file and exports it. So sometimes you don't want to index. We have a workflow for that. And again, we allow the administrator to go in and edit the XML information for each one of these workflows. So if I change it to this one, you can see the XML information is going to be a little bit different. But we can go in here and we can add branches and so on and so forth. So we can assign scan profiles to specific jobs, and we can go in and create these scan profiles. I don't have a scanner, again, hooked up, but if I did, I would choose scanner over here and hit my attributes, and it would go out and find that scanner. You can see that sometimes I had various scanners hooked up over here. And if you have a bunch of scanners in your environment, again, you can lock those down to specific job setups. So an operator is not going to get or have to take time to scroll through various scanners when they make their job. This is that separation rule that we spoke about with the barcodes. It's a simple rule where we can choose out of these 21 or 25 or so barcodes over here. And I said in this particular rule, when a barcode is detected, either one of these two barcode 39s, create a new document. And I'm choosing not to delete the page. I can have it delete the page, but if you remember that those housing application forms that we used, that barcode was part of the document that we needed. So if it was a strict or dedicated cover sheet or separator sheet, we can have it find that barcode, separate, and then just say, hey, delete it. Like in that adventure trip job there, if I open up that PDF, there was a patch code sheet in there. So, and I had that set for that job, so it deleted it. You can also separate on certain number of pages, images, blank pages, and again, different patch codes. So, and then the indexing step, these are our index fields right here. So if I go into my index fields, it's going to make this window a little bit bigger. But all of these fields are required. So that means that, again, we can't export that job unless all of these fields are filled in. And you remember that case number, which was based off of the barcode, we have a default value in here set for the barcode. So we can choose from the assortment of variables, and we can also type in custom variables in here as well. If there are multiple barcodes on the page, I can simply say, you know what, I want to skip the first two barcodes that you see, but when you see that third barcode, that's the one that I want you to populate that information with into the case number field. So, and again, these we have set for blank because that's being done with a database lookup. The database lookup is underneath database actions, and if I go to edits, we're using our index field of the case number as our trigger, and this is our data source. It's a Microsoft Access MDB file. That's what we're using, and these are our index fields. And this is how you can map to the columns that are in the database. And that's where the database lookup is performed. The export for this batch, it's not done there. We're doing it on a batch level up over here. So that was our document class, our index fields. Over here, our batch level, we have our export set up for the PDF and our CSV information for our metadata. And again, I can add in another export if I wanted to. I don't have one for a TIFF, I don't believe, but here's an adventure trip TIFF export for my invoices. I can add that over here so that when our housing applications are exported and it makes a PDF, you saw how it did that, and then it made the CSV file. And now I just added another one where it's going to make a TIFF. Again, this is for my adventure trips job, but you can just stack these up in the export configuration so that info input will just go through them one at a time. And you can output this to multiple locations, multiple file systems, network shares, and so on and so forth. We also have the ability to assign this job. I don't have it set up on my computer right now, but we have a mobile app where you can download the app to your phone, simply take a picture on the phone, and if I have this housing application form job available to all our mobile clients, You'll log into the server, of course, where your info input software is installed, and you'll see some screens similar to what you see here, and you can take a picture, populate the index information, whether it's in a pull down or manually type it in, and you can upload it to the info input server just like we uploaded our scanned batches today. And it will be uploaded to an index queue, and depending upon the workflow, it'll scan and index and export, or it might skip the indexing part and just go right to the export. Some people just skip the indexing and they just go right to an export module that feeds into their system. So you can use this software in multiple fashions. So that's a basic overview of the job. You can also back up. You can import these jobs and you can back these jobs up. So whenever you make a change, if I have some jobs that I went in and I modified the script for certain things, I'll just go right into it and export the job and do a quick backup of it. So you can, again, more of a granular level, you can add that on top of your already backup procedures for your server already. So, and like Kelly said earlier, anything we do update-wise with the software, it's done on the server. So the clients, again, in Atlanta, in Ohio, New York City, wherever they are, once they log back into the server, their jobs are there. So an upgrade doesn't have to be pushed out to all the locations. It only has to be done on the server, and then everyone else can see it when they log back in and create a new batch. That's another nice feature of the software. And then again, as the administrator, if I scroll down over here, I can go in and see active users. I can go into user and group administration, and you can see there's some other users in here as well. There's a scan user, index user, and I have groups over here. If I double click on my scan operators group, you can see that they're allowed to look at the batch manager, which we went in. They're allowed to create a batch, which we did. They can delete batches, but they can only delete their own batches. They can't delete a batch that Kelly makes or that, say, I make. They have the ability to scan, and they also have the ability to work offline. So if someone loses their internet connection, they can still work for a period of 48 hours or whatever is defined in the license. When they regain the internet connection, their client will sync with the info input server, and those jobs will be automatically uploaded. That's another nice little feature. This particular group over here, called scan operators, can only see one job. So here's my 21 or 22 jobs that are in there, but I can just simply check and say anyone that's in this group, they can only see this workflow job. If I want them to see all jobs, of course, I can hit that up there. But if I want them to see my Adventure Trips job, I can just choose Adventure Trips and hit Save. And now there's only this scan user right here who's in the scanned operator group. He or she will only be able to see two jobs, Adventure Trips or the housing application job, or whatever job was in there that I checked. I don't remember. But yeah, workflow. So again, that's how we touched on that earlier, but that's what that window looks like. Pretty easy. We also have a announcement window over here where we can create an announcement and have it displayed at every login, or just once or once every day. So if you're doing any administration to the server, updates or anything like that, or if it's just HR related, whatever, you can have a message to everybody every time they log in. And you can set a start date and an end date with that as well. So something like that. So those are some of the administration features. We also have an export server administration feature where, again, right now, this is the name of my computer right here, but if we had info input installed on multiple servers, we can set how we want info input to load balance our jobs in our different cities. And I'll use the Atlanta, Georgia location and the Ohio location again. If Kelly is doing a certain amount of jobs that are a high priority, I can assign a dedicated server in New York to all his jobs. So if he's working on this housing application forms, I'm going to assign him my server that's dedicated just for him, and he's also doing adventure trips. So I'm going to say these two servers are only going to be used for that right there. So if everyone else is pounding away with these other jobs, and he needs a high priority or a dedicated server for load balancing purposes, we can assign servers to specific jobs. So another way you can lock down the settings on jobs and what they do and how they perform.